This episode of Filthy Casuals is brought to you by Harry's. For a free trial set, go to harrys.com/filthycasuals.
Also this week we're brought to you by ShipStation.com. Do you sell online? Then you need ShipStation. And you can go to ShipStation.com and get a free 30-day trial or just 30 days for free. Everything's a trial though, really, isn't it? If you're finding it difficult like this. And you can use the promotion code CASUALS and you get a 30 days for free at ShipStation.com.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games, hosted by three extremely kind and knowledgeable boys. You have myself, Tommy Dasilo. You also have...
Ben Vanille. Happy New Year, video games!
Everyone-
And it's episode 116, and my name is Bruce Springsteen.
Everyone has already heard us say Happy New Year, though.
I
Last
don't
week.
care. This is the first episode being recorded in the new year, and it's a new year, and it's an old me.
For the listeners, no time has passed, but it's been nigh on about a month since we've seen each other.
Yeah.
No.
Best month of my life.
It's been like 3 weeks. We
It was a
recorded
real
before-
30-day trial for me.
Yeah. Oh, and that's Adam Knox.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's me. Hello.
Yes.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
The
We are
Gremlins are back for
We-
Gremlins 2, the better film.
Yes, the new year. What do we did? We did a bunch of special episodes. We did our Game of the Year. We did our 2018 preview. A few band camps, a few Patreons in there, but now we're back after a
I don't
hiatus.
need to know your fucking life story, mate.
Well, it's our life story.
It's also it's technically your life story as well.
That's why I don't want to hear about it. It brings back a lot of shit.
You
I
only look
lived it.
forwards.
I don't need to hear about it again.
Yeah.
Boy, that last week's episode, we did that so long ago. I
Yeah.
can't remember. I plugged it in on Twitter. I can't remember a damn thing that happened in it, I have to say.
Yeah, it was a bit of a loose one from memory, and we talked about, I think, sporting matches and cooking mostly. Or
I made a big list of games. I put a lot of effort into that episode.
I guess I've totally forgot it as well.
Is that what that was about?
Yeah.
Right.
About 24 different things, and I scoured the internet for.
Of what, though?
I had to get it was Anthem, and then
No, but
from
like,
B
what was
onwards.
this? What was this topic of it?
Last week?
Yeah.
Games we were looking forward
Oh,
to. This year.
games.
Oh, game.
I thought we were just like resolutions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you said cooking, that sounds familiar. I want to try and eat better this year.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that's what we did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to eat the same.
You're trying to eat the same.
I just don't want to get worse again.
Okay.
I've been on a
I-
5-year
Set
spiral
the
of getting...
bar at exactly eye level.
Yeah, if I can maintain, then
Yeah.
I will probably be in a better place than I would have been if I weren't consciously trying.
Right.
I'll be honest. When I say better, that's better than the slow spiral downwards.
Yeah.
I just want to maintain.
Just arrest the spiral, basically. Yeah.
I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
If this is as good as it gets, I could live with that.
If it's as good as it gets, or as worse as it gets.
When I say I want to eat better, I meant to say butter.
You
I
want
wanna
to eat
nice.
butter.
I want to eat more butter.
Very
wow.
good.
And you think you can stick to that?
Oh
Like
man,
butter.
not with a bunch of butter all over me. I'm going to be slipping
Oh,
all
yeah.
over the place.
Butter's slippery.
Butter's
So
slippery
you're
as hell,
covered in
man.
butter, which is making it harder for you to get your hands on more butter. You want to eat the butter,
Yeah.
but you're covered in it and you can't get to your fridge because you keep slipping over every time you stand up.
Yep.
Wow, this sounds like
Wilson's Conundrum. That's what it's called. There was a man named Wilson who tried to eat a bunch of butter. It's
Oh.
Wilson's Paradox.
Nice.
Very nice.
Butterface?
Yeah, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
We should mention
Joey
that,
Butterfuco.
we should mention that all of us have comedy festival. We are all comedians. We should make that clear.
Not me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other resolution. Eat the same and don't do comedy anymore.
Keep the comedy at a nice plateau. That's what I'm aiming for. We all have shows on sale for the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. You boys are in Chimp Cop,
Yeah.
which runs for the whole month.
Do you know
certainly does.
what a helicopter sounds like at breakfast?
What?
Butter, 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 butter. That's like the rotors going around and around.
Yeah,
Butter,
but butter's
breakfast
in like
food.
heaps of butter isn't just a breakfast thing. Butter's
yeah.
in heaps of stuff.
Butter, swing, butter, swing, butter. That's pretty good. I'm in Chimp Cop. I like how you said we're both in Chimp Cop, like we're cast members of
You
this
are.
big kind of production, and we're just a small part of of the big show.
Well, you've both been kicked out of the Rocky Horror Show, so this is all you have left.
That's true. That's false. Yeah, we're in Chimp Cop. It's called The Death of Chimp Cop, and it's not our last show, despite that name.
Oh, are you already getting a bit of that?
We got a bit of it when we announced the name, when we presented the name to the world.
People are
Well-
going to be very surprised when we do Chimp Cop's Ghost next year.
Yeah.
Well, following on from that, I'm doing a show for just 11 nights only called Leisure Suit Tommy. And I'm getting a lot of questions about, will there be full frontal nudity? Which...
You're getting a lot of questions about if it's video games related. It's not. It's just a weird title.
It is video games related.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So
I'm doing a show called This Show is Good and Funny, Attendance Appreciated, and I'm getting a lot of questions asking, is that really the name you picked?
Again, reminiscent of last year.
I like picking long names.
Yeah.
Joey Butterfuco.
So those are all on sale, I think, at the moment at comedyfestival.com.au, or we'll be putting the links up on our social media stuff.
Yes.
We had a lot of filth come down to see our respective shows last year.
Yeah,
and it was wonderful.
was
Lovely
very
to meet you
nice.
guys. And yeah, mine is going to have a bunch of video gamey kind of jokes in it, which I have a sneaking suspicion may be pertinent to the interests of people who listen to this little podcast.
Yeah. So come along.
Great. There's not much news to speak of. I think, boy, this is going to be tough to record these for about the next month, I'd say.
Yeah.
Nothing much in the way
Yeah.
of news or new releases.
No.
There's kind of nothing happening in January until the end when a bunch of shit comes out all at the same time again.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's...
Monster Hunter World, is that end of Jan?
And that Dragon Ball game
Oh, yes.
Oh,
come
yeah.
out on the same day, and I'm pumped
Right.
about both of them. They look great.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I hadn't watched too much of it apart from the mic test video that we did, but I did a pretty deep dive on some Monster Hunter videos the other day, and boy, oh boy, I am all the fuck in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
It looks really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
What I don't get is I hear that it's notoriously difficult combat to understand. Now, it doesn't really look that way from the videos. I don't quite
Yeah.
get... It looks pretty, like, button mashy from the videos.
Right.
I don't get what's so complex about it. I know there's a lot of different weapons, but...
Yeah.
There's a beta happening either this weekend or the next that you could give it a go, and it's like an open access thing on the PS4. It's basically a demo.
Yep.
It kind of works almost like a fighting game a little bit,
Right.
where each of the different weapon types has a really different kind of control scheme, and you have to kind of know your way around each one. So it
Okay.
takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you are...
But do you need to use all of them, or can you just go, this is the one I'm using, I'm going to learn this and stick to this?
You can do that. Some of them work better in different situations or whatever,
Right.
but you can use any of them at any time, basically.
Visually, it looks stunning.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be so good.
Yep.
So exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That Dragon Ball game looks cool. We did all this last week, I just realized.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's, yeah. So I guess what January is for most of it for us is catching up on old games.
Yes.
Which I've been doing a lot of, and I think you guys have too.
Yep.
Well, post our Game of the Year app, I had a little bit of time over the Christmas New Year break, and I funneled all of it into Persona 5, which I've now played over double the amount that I had played when I named it one of my games of the year.
Yes.
And now I fucking hate it. No, I like it more and more.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, fucking really great.
Yeah, I finished it a couple of days ago.
Right.
And I was mentioning in the chat that it was kind of getting tedious. Tommy was just ribbing me for it. Saying, you fucking love this game and you're getting sick of it. But what I did was kind of the same thing. I put about a week of my holidays into playing Persona 5. And once you have played it for, 5 days in a row without really doing much else,
Yeah.
it does kind of slow down. But like anything would.
Anything does, yeah.
It sort of
yeah.
dips around that like fifth-ish palace where,
Yeah.
or like not dips, but the pace of it gets pretty routine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Around that point. So
Yeah.
that
And
bit
I-
especially is something that's a little hard to just kind of muscle through.
Yeah.
It's a
still
weird
good, though.
feeling too,
Oh, yeah.
like when you know the number of hours that it takes to finish it. That's the thing, like keep hearing when you go in, 100 hours, and like every time you open your save file, it's just sitting there,
Yeah.
and it's pretty linear. Like there's not a lot of room for fucking around, so it's pretty much like it just really does feel like you're going to work. You're just sitting there watching that number go up a little bit,
Yeah.
just hoping to knock off a couple in a row to edge closer to 100.
Yeah.
Like, it does start to feel a little bit like a job at
Yeah.
a certain point. It's the fact that it's reminding you every time you turn it on exactly how many hours you've done. There's never any mistaking. Here's exactly what percentage I'm at.
I quite like that though. I wish that I had that in
Yeah.
every element of my life where I could just know exactly how much time
Like a watch.
I needed to.
or a planner. Or using your calendar. Or
No, it's impossible.
just...
No wonder you're late all the time. You don't understand how it works.
You have to look up at the sun and guess. It's just really difficult to know when to do things.
I did, like, when I was playing it, because, like, I basically played half of it over 6 months, the other half over 6 days.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did as well. A little bit, yeah.
And for the first 6 months where I played, a couple hours a week at most, I really liked that pacing and that, that kind of very deliberate and planned out kind of pace. And it's my fault for playing it for 6 days in a row. Like, I don't think it's meant to be played like that.
Yeah.
It's a weird
crazy.
one.
This
Yeah.
alcohol stuff, if you have too much of it, you start to feel really bad.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a
That
weird
is
one
alcohol's
because you
fault,
get
though.
into it and you do just want to. Yeah, you do just want to kind of do all of it.
Totally.
And also knowing that it's going to take that long, there is kind of an element of it where you sort of go, I just want to finish it. I just want to see all of it and kind of get to the end and be done with it. But that's kind of not. It's like I've been having to make myself get used to like. You're probably still going to be working on it at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably just going to sit in the background. And I feel like I left a pretty big gap in coming back to it. And it feels pretty easy to... It cues you kind of all the way through. Like, there's not really... You're not doing button combos and stuff that you forget. It's all there when you're in combat, knowing what to do.
The combat specifically, it's like you can't... There's no like feel to get back into. It's just like... A menu.
The one thing is I kind of tend to forget what bufu means and all of that sort of stuff. Like
It's ice, baby. It's ice.
Bufu is ice, but
Ice,
which
baby.
I can't even... It's Zorba and whatever the other ones are.
Zyodine, yeah.
But they've got the little icons next to them.
Yeah.
They do.
And they're also, like, they're the same as all RPGs. They're like, lightning, ice, fire,
rock, paper,
wind.
scissors.
Yeah.
Rock,
Whereas
paper,
Sleeping
scissors.
Dogs was a game that I talked about before where I played a lot of it, really liked it, took a break, and the melee combat is such specific combos that once you're out of that kind of, once you've lost that kind of muscle memory of exactly how to do them when you're playing it a lot, you just kind of can't go back in.
Yep. Even
and it's
switching,
hard to look up again.
Switching between shooting games that have different control schemes are it's really hard to kind of, you got to pick one and kind of focus on it.
But one thing we didn't talk about when we mentioned it in the Game of the Year episode that is such a cool part of it, the hold-up thing that you can do in the combat. Which I mentioned to you afterwards. It's great. Like,
yeah, that's true. There is a lot. There's a lot more nuances and intricacies of those systems than we remember to talk about because they all seem very natural as you're playing them. But there's like the hold-up stuff, the talking to your enemies and capturing them or getting items off them instead of having to fight them.
It never felt useful to get items off of them or to get money. Like the stuff they gave you was so worthless most of the time.
I found the SP items very valuable.
Yeah, right.
I never get them though.
Yeah, I never found who to get them off of, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah. But it is an interesting little dance where maybe this is just something I haven't worked out, but I'm pretty bad at getting them to give me their power. Like because you clearly have to say it, you have to talk to them in a certain way. Otherwise, they either just get pissed off and give you items or they attack you again.
Right.
And I feel like I'm kind of always doing it wrong.
I don't think I ever failed that. I didn't.
Oh, really?
I honestly didn't think you could.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You got to pick because you get the 3 options and you got to do 3 different stages of it.
Oh, okay.
So you can fail that absolutely.
Oh,
You've got to
right.
second guess what they're trying to think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I just thought we were having a conversation.
Yeah, right.
And
and also
was
when
trying to be as pleasant as possible.
But that's the thing is some of them they want you to be a bit grumpy with them.
Right.
They want you to
So-
be like, "Hey, fuck you, old man," and then they're like, "You got spunk, kid."
Right. Okay.
So these interactions, Ben's getting it right every time,
Yep.
and I'm getting it wrong every time. Which one of us is fucked? Because there's no way both of us are normal people who are able to interact in the real world and both have those outcomes in this game.
Well,
I am not the least bit surprised that Ben found it very natural to talk to a computer.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Half of them are barely speaking English at you. Like they talk in this weird kind of broken, almost pig Latin. It's impossible to work out what they're
I can see the numbers. I can see the matrix.
Ben's got his dick stuck in the PS4 like R2-D2, wiggling it back and forth.
Yeah,
Just
sometimes
talk-
it sparks and I get blown across the room, so to speak.
Oh, that
And
was a bad
yeah.
R2-D2.
I felt dumb, but also very vindicated. Like saying that it was on my top 5 of the year. I hadn't even gotten up to the bit when I said that where you're in the metaverse and you're driving the cat around like a fucking bus.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I thought
right.
was such a great little,
It's
just
so
a
cool.
great little twist when you sort of think like, okay, here's the pattern, and then it kind of at whatever that is, like 10 hours or something,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
kind of throws that at you.
Yeah.
And it throws new shit at you the whole time, whether
Yeah.
it's in a story way or in
Yeah.
a gameplay way.
Yeah, new characters which have new abilities. Like, yeah, it just keeps evolving. And
Well,
yeah,
and that,
yeah.
that thing of it being so long, it is structured a lot like a TV series where you can watch it over a course of a long time and
Yep.
still keep up with it, come back to it, and it reminds you where you're up to, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of people sort of ask, not a lot of people, but some people.
Yeah.
What does a lot mean? You know, how many would you classify as being a lot? What number? I guess it's contextual.
15,000.
15,000?
Yeah,
we had
that's
a
a lot
lot
of
of people asking us.
Yeah,
then.
we did. Yeah. Every single one of our... Yeah.
About like whether if you had a small amount of time to play games in, it's
Yeah.
still good. And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think so
I think it
because
is.
of what I was saying, where you can go back to it and it's never, you don't feel like you've forgotten everything by taking a bit of a gap. And it is so linear, aside from some battles where you get your ass kicked a little bit and you kind of, it takes you a few goes to get through.
Yep.
And also the fact that there's no auto-saving stuff. Aside from those two things, it is pretty easy to just kind of,
Yeah.
it's sit down, you just knock an hour of it off.
The
Yeah.
thing with
And you-
auto-saving, it's very good that you can just suspend the PS4. I
Yeah.
never trust that. I always think
Right.
that maybe the power's going to go off or whatever and I'll lose it. But there's no reason any game today shouldn't have a... Let me just come back to this
Yeah.
later. Like, I'm not saving it to have this and go back and cheat. I'm just
Yeah,
leaving
yeah.
for a while.
It is frustrating because a
Yeah.
couple of times I've sort of sat down with 20 minutes, half an hour or whatever before I've had to go out and then gone, man, I don't want to do all this again. And I live in a share house where other people use the PlayStation, so I kind of can't suspend it.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of frustrating. It's like, why isn't there just a fucking button I can press to just
Your big
Yeah.
bully housemate keeps coming up and go, get off the PlayStation.
yeah, so we can play Gran Turismo. It's an actual thing that happens.
There's a lot about Persona 5 that reminds me of kind of like my favorite JRPGs where, yeah, the story's kind of gets very silly and overblown and there's like different realities and stuff. There's dedicated save points, like all that kind of stuff is kind
Yeah.
of very old-fashioned JRPG, which I love.
But it really is like it for how dumb and stuff the story is. It really is like I from 1 minute to the next, I kind of don't really know what's going to happen. Like I'm really
Yeah.
invested in what's coming up. It's
Yeah.
like
It's very like sincere and kind of heartfelt and
Yeah.
like, quite an emotion, not emotional, but like emotionally thick story with 2 C's. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
hell yeah, brother.
like it's got
Earnest?
a lot of heart to it.
Oh,
Well, the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
fact
sure.
that like the reason you're in this town in the first place is because you kind of stood up to this guy who you saw harassing a woman
Which
in the street, and then
at
that's
no
kind of an
point makes
undercurrent of all of
sense.
it. Like,
At no point does that make sense. Where
What do you
they're
mean?
like, you fuckhead, why'd you do that? Get out of here. Like they all treat you like shit. For
oh
standing
yeah,
up
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
But
really
isn't
weird.
it? Yeah. But
Yeah.
I still in the back of my head is you guys mentioning a bit at the beach where there's a bit of,
Yeah.
where there's some very dodgy anime stuff.
Yeah.
And I reckon once I've seen that, I'm out. I don't know what it is. I'm just waiting to get up to that bit.
Yeah.
As soon as I see some sand, then I'm excited.
Oh boy.
I'm looking forward to it.
I can gladly say that the ending's fantastic.
Yeah, good. I
And
was going to ask you about that.
I'm looking forward to what I'm going to do. Probably is start it again and play it very slowly again. Just dip in every now and then.
I would wait because
You would wait?
They've brought out another version of each of the more recent Persona games since.
Oh, that's true.
So there was like Persona 3 Fez and
Persona
then
4
4
Golden, yeah.
And 5 Crimson is like the thing they're calling it, but it's not been announced or anything.
Yeah,
But there's a
okay.
good chance they'll do a updated, more content version in the future.
Right. Okay. Because I don't know about you, Knox, but I didn't max out a lot of my social links.
Right.
So
What about in the
am-
game?
It's still the best joke
It's
in
still
2018.
good. It's still good. Thank God. Thank God. If that had been bad in 2018, I don't know what I would have done.
It just falls flat for some weird.
Cosmic reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else got the memo but me. What the fuck?
But I am keen to just kind of go in and max it out, like really figure out how to spend every like bit of every day on maxing out, like
Yeah.
even skills and stuff. I didn't max all of them out.
I did all of the like guts and everything were all at 5.
Yeah,
And,
right.
all but like 2 or 3 of the social links were at full.
See, I only got a few. I was like 4 on all the stats.
Did you spend a lot of time fishing and doing baseball and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and working
right.
jobs and stuff, like eating burgers, like just getting those stats up
Yeah,
rather than...
you don't ever really need to do that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there's a couple of times when to get some like mementos things you do, but like you can mostly avoid that stuff. If
Right.
anyone's
It
gonna
is
play
really
that.
weird where like the bit that I'm at, it feels like it's going to just kind of let you loose in the town and you can from day to day do what you want.
Yeah.
And you'll sort of do that for one day, but then a story beat comes up and all of a sudden 3 days go past where
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
no, you meant to, and it's kind of all just rolling along.
Yep.
And it's kind of such a bizarre pace where it sort of lets you do stuff freely for like a tiny little bit and you go, oh, okay, this is the game now.
Right.
And then it just chucks you right back on rails. And I don't necessarily mind that, but it is jarring where it's like, okay, how much, like in my head at this point that I'm at, I'm like, so how much of this stuff am I meant to have done at this point? Because I've
Right.
sort of done it when I can. Like I've gone off and gone, oh, okay, I'll go to work or I'll go and eat a burger or whatever. But I haven't really had a lot of, I've done a lot of studying just because you end up, it just sends you back to the house at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, the desk is just there.
It almost operates on such a large scale, like that the gameplay loop is like study and work and you know go hang out with your mates for like 4 days and then go do some action stuff and then there's a story beat and it's back to the routine and that kind of repeats.
It
Yeah.
does that
over
like
and over.
7 times. or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
But it is weird when it's like like a story thing happens and you're in your room and you go downstairs, go, oh, I'll study and try and get those knowledge points up, and the cat's like,
Yeah.
we've got a big day tomorrow. It's like, why am I letting a fucking cat
Yeah.
tell me that I'm not going to study?
I know.
Of course
and-
you want to sleep. You're a cat. I don't run on the same functions as you. Our bodies are different. I can go out.
That starts to happen a lot more towards the end.
Yeah.
You'll like have a story beat and then you're like, go to sleep, story beat, go
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
a lot of the routine
You
stuff
sure you
kind
want
of
to go
goes
out
away.
today? I think we should go in a coma for 3 days.
Yeah.
And nothing, yeah.
Yeah. But fuck, it's good. And I kind of just want to start it again because I've forgotten how it started and
Totally.
yeah. But I'm keen to play this, Crimson or whatever.
That's just a hypothetical thing at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming they will follow the same pattern because they're putting out those dancing Persona games.
Yeah.
There'll be another fighting one at some point.
Yeah.
Are they linked to... Wait, no, did it come out on... It didn't... It's just a Sony thing, right?
Yeah, only on PlayStation.
There's other of like the broader, what's it called? Shin Megami Tensei series.
Right.
On like 3DS.
3DS,
and shit.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the Persona games have been on PlayStation things.
Yeah.
Right. It's definitely something where, I'd love to finish it, and then if it ever came out on the Switch, would be the I would definitely play it again.
Yeah.
Through on.
That's not
being able to
crazy. It came
handle
out on the PS3, so like it could hypothetically run on that hardware.
I reckon it
probably.
could totally run. It's just
Yeah.
whether they, if they've not really done anything with this series with Nintendo, whether they would. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
The future, man. I can't predict it. If I could, would I still be here?
have
Maybe.
a crack right now. What do you think will happen in 1 week?
In 1 week? Well, the bare naked ladies will eat some Chinese chicken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finally,
Yeah.
they get around to it.
That's what happens.
2018.
That's what happens in 1 week.
Did they mention that they were going to eat it, or they just
I think
say
if you
it,
bring
right?
up chicken, you've implied that.
Yeah.
Speaking of chicken, I play more PUBG over
Yeah.
because when you win, you get a chicken dinner.
Oh,
That game's still fucking sick.
Okay.
Something else that I finished over the little break there was Nier Automata.
Sure.
Thank you for finally pronouncing it correctly.
They say it.
Do
At
they?
one point in the game,
Oh, really?
somebody says Automata. I was like, aha!
Was it Con the Fruiterer?
Yeah.
Automata!
My daughter's Automato, Automata.
I say it Automato.
I fucked up not putting that game in my top 5 a couple
Wow.
weeks ago.
Yeah, you went on social media to declare that.
Yeah, the most valid and important place to say
Yeah.
any opinion.
Yeah.
It's really fucking good. And it's also fucked. It's a weird
Yeah.
game. Like
What was it that held you off putting it on your top 5 that now that you've seen makes you regret it not being on there?
so you have to play through it 2 times before it gets great.
Okay.
It's really weirdly structured.
Yeah.
And once it recontextualizes those first couple of times from what happens afterwards, it brings them up in a way you go, I understand why they did this.
Right.
But it does make that initial slog a bit of a slog. The
Yeah.
game is fun, but it's kind of just a little broken enough and a little kind of budgety enough that
Yeah.
it didn't really quite hit with me. And the story...
It felt a bit like an indie. If it
Yeah.
had come out as
Right.
an indie, people would have gone bananas for it
Yeah.
with lower expectation and a bit lower price point.
Well, so after I'd finished it, I looked more into this sort of series and everything, and this is kind of a higher quality than they've been.
Right.
Because Platinum coming on board and giving them more money and stuff like
Right.
that. And the story becomes a lot more interesting, and the way that it's told through it being a game and in very... this can only be done in a game sort of ways.
Yeah, yeah. Is it sort of like shifting perspective and stuff like that?
If you want nothing spoilery at all, skip a few seconds.
I'll say before we move on to the spoilery bits, I've played... People have told me, like, before I even started playing it, you got to finish a bunch of times. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, cool, it'll be short then. I'm still, like, 9 hours in and I haven't finished it yet.
That will be almost at the end of the first time through. And
Yeah,
if you've been doing
right.
a lot of the side quests, they
Yeah.
don't recur.
Yeah, okay.
So it not each of them is equal length of
Right.
the playthroughs. And
It's just a shame that you can be playing a game for 9 hours and being, like, enjoying the concept or some of the early concepts
Yeah.
and gameplay stuff, but then really slogging through it. And, like, I really don't have a desire to keep going at this point.
But also hearing that you're just around the corner
Yeah.
from it really clicking
well,
in.
you're
Yeah.
not, because so there's A, B, C, D, and E. There's 5 main
Okay.
ones.
Right.
A and B are pretty similar.
Right.
And B does some cool stuff, but B is the hardest one to get through.
Right.
And then C, D, and E, you're like, oh, sick.
Right. Fucking hell.
I was really enjoying it, but in preparation, and I said this at the time for the Game of the Year episode, I kind of went, I can devote more time to this or Persona, and I really feel like Persona's the one that's gonna win out and be on my list. I
Yeah.
kind of aesthetically liked it all more.
Yep.
But I was loving just the combat and everything.
I don't think there's any. I don't think it's wrong of someone to go, I think this is structured poorly.
Right.
I think that's totally valid and a perfectly fine reason to stop playing it. But the stuff that's in there, I don't think would have the same impact if you're just watching it on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
So, but like the ending of it is one of the coolest things I've seen a game do.
Right.
What about if you had to rank it against everything you've ever seen? Gaming or otherwise?
Number 3.
Wow.
Number 3.
Yeah. Number 1.
Tits. Number
No,
2.
come
Puss.
on. Number 1, the smile on a
Grow
baby's
up.
face.
When
Number
it sees
2,
a sweet pair of tits.
yeah, I guess
Smile
so
on a
because
sweet
that's
pair of
nature. That's the
Yeah.
circle of
Well,
life.
it's food. It knows it's getting some food, sustenance.
Number 2, the U-bend, an amazing piece of engineering.
Okay.
Where does the Autobahn rank for you?
73.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to go through all of them?
It's relatively
Yes,
high.
please.
Here we go. Let's
Out
do
of
let's do a Nier Automata style list. Where
So it's not going to be good until the end.
no.
It's going to be a real slog. For
Yeah,
two-thirds
it's a
of it.
weird fucking game, man, and like that world doesn't become interesting or contextualized enough to be interesting
Yeah, right.
until it's shown you more later on.
Right.
So it's a very
It's-
weird thing.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I really like the sound of what it's trying to do, but I guess that's the hard thing with a game where, a movie can have, it can sort of have a lot of stuff going on that it really only justifies at the very end. And you go, oh, okay, fuck, that's cool. That's why they were doing all that.
Yeah.
But, the presumption is, well, it's 2 hours of your life. You're sitting down. Presumably you're in the cinema. You're locked in.
Yeah.
Whereas a game, it's like...
You're standing up.
Everything, literally everything is different.
Yes.
The lights are on full blast, right in your eyes.
You may just never make it to that point. And I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
that's the risk that must be... I wonder how much that factors into your head when you're making a game of like what percentage of people are just not going to make it through this product that you're working on.
I think it's a totally valid thing. I don't have the patience to take in most like art as in paintings enough to enjoy them.
You hate photography.
I find visual art in that context to be boring.
Yeah.
I went to the gallery at the NGV, the
Yeah,
National Gallery.
the triennial thing.
Yeah.
How good is it? Did you not like it?
I was bored most
You
of the
didn't
time.
like the...
It was fine, but like I just don't get it. It's
Yeah. Well,
just
I
not
will
for
say
me.
all the stuff that's... Quick plug for the NGV
Yes.
in Melbourne. I thought the triennial stuff was all great. Like that, what's it name? The house with all the flowers in it.
No. It was like walking through IKEA. That was really silly to me.
Yeah, IKEA's great.
Yeah.
But it's not like...
But I brought my own meatballs. That's
There's-
the difference.
I think there's a disconnect that I have between the amount of weight in the brilliance of this thing that people seem to be putting into it versus what I'm getting out of it. That
Okay.
it makes me a bit annoyed.
Right.
'Cause I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of stickers in here, sick.
Right.
Who, like
For context, do you know anything about it, Ben? It's this
I've seen the
artist,
photos.
I'm blanking on her name, and she's recreated a whole house. And you
Right.
get given a sticker of a flower when you go in, and you can put it anywhere.
Right.
And of course, at this point, I really wanted to put mine somewhere. Like I wanted to be unique. I wanted to
Right.
put mine on the first. This is just where mine is. This is a unique
Yeah.
spot. And by this point, you can't. Like I'm lifting up the toilet seat. I'm going all over the place.
Yeah.
It's really, but like you're having to settle and go, I can put it there and I'm leaving my little mark.
Yeah.
Like
And
I thought
kinda-
that was cool.
And it makes
I
you
like
feel a little bit insignificant, and it makes you think, wow, look at all these stories that have unfolded in here.
Yeah.
And all of that. But you get that same thing from being in the fucking Swanston Street McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, look at all this shit that's gone on in here. This
Well,
is
it's
a
closed
crazy-
down now for one.
Well,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Which
that's
makes
why
it,
this house exists.
it makes it more beautiful and temporary because it's gone. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I guess in that way, the Swanston Street McDonald's is kind of like an art installation because
Yeah.
now it's gone. It's moved on.
And most art, I find the point that it's trying to make is something where, like, yeah, that's the answer every time to me.
A scientist who thinks he's smarter than everyone.
It doesn't bother. It doesn't get to me.
See,
there was
I just-
one that was really cool because it was very technically impressive. Of like this stencil on a wall that was like this kind of grey lead.
Oh, yeah, you told me about
stencil,
that.
And it had some sort of shiny bits on it. It was a Japanese guy. I can't remember his name.
I
I don't know if it was a
saw that.
Japanese guy because it was Japan. It was like a Tokyo street corner that he filmed and cut all this stuff together and projected this loop, like this 8-minute loop
Oh, yeah.
of like a day-night cycle on it. It was really cool. I
Oh,
like that.
I didn't pay any attention to that because I will say the one thing I don't like at galleries, I don't like video stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like this video
same.
stuff. It's like not good enough to be a proper short film.
Yeah.
It's just some bullshit going on a loop for 3 minutes.
It always reminds me of when, I don't know if you guys did like visual communications or art in high school.
I did both of them.
You do your kind of projects, and then a bunch of people from the state would get
Yeah.
into the
Top
gallery,
arts.
one of the galleries. Yeah, top
Yeah.
arts, yeah. And so you walk around there.
Oh, that was like Top Acts was the drama one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm.
And someone would be sculpture, and they'd be really cool, and there would be paintings and photos, and then there'd be really shitty videos or animations.
Yeah.
Because it was all so early. The animation tech especially was so shitty at that time.
Totally, yeah.
And it just reminds me of that.
Everything was impressive. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's part
yeah.
of the thing I like about video games. I like it when there's something technically impressive and artistically impressive together.
Yeah, right. See, because I tend to be okay at like technical stuff, like design and stuff, but I'm
Right.
bad at painting. So I love when a painting, I can look at a painting and be like amazed by it for intangible reasons.
You didn't like the chairs? The room with all the different, like the comic book style chairs? where all the legs are different?
Nah, the metal ones.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm a Philistine. I'm saying this, but I walked in that room and I said, "Oh, sick, 50 chairs." Like it's just all it is.
Yeah,
is
okay.
50
they're
chairs,
all-
and each of the legs is slightly different.
Yeah, but they're all like done in. It's like he's
Yeah, but
made
if
a
you
little
got a
cartoon
6-year-old
in
to draw
three-dimensional
different
space.
chairs, they would draw those chairs.
Yeah, but then this guy made them in the real space.
Yeah, and it would have taken
This is
ages,
like,
but like,
this is like Frank Grimes arguing with Lenny and Carl about Homer winning the competition.
Yeah.
I bet it took a long time, but so
But
what?
did you watch the little video of it animated and it, like all of them happened to the chair on the wall?
I didn't. I don't know if that was on when I was there because I didn't even see that.
They switch it off sometimes.
In the scratch and
It was an
sniff,
afterthought.
Yeah.
like in the middle of where the
You left a
scratch
bad
and
Yelp
sniff
review
things
and they
were-
went, we got to fucking give this more context.
Well, like that was the thing. This guy was like, okay, memory, smells and memory.
Yes.
Go up and scratch and sniff these fucking plates.
Yes.
The smells thing I wasn't into.
I hated it.
We are
All
really
these
going
grubby
in
little
depth.
mitts.
I know.
We are really going in depth on a thing that a very small percentage of our audience has any access to. What about this? There's a bar in there. Did you like that?
No, I'm not drinking this year.
Fuck.
Fucking hell.
Anyway,
You gotta drink to enjoy art. That's what I say.
You gotta go check it out, Ben.
Yeah, I will. I'm looking forward to
it's
it.
kind of cool, but there's just something about the pomp of art that gets to me.
I'm gonna listen to Tommy.
This is now
He
I
seems to be more aligned with my views
now
on
I
art.
understand what it's like. I've loved watching you guys argue about The Big Short. Now I understand what it was like to be in it.
Yeah.
This is infuriating.
Anyway, the Nier Automata is good.
Right. And persevere if you feel like it. Right?
Yeah, that was the point. Is that the medium that it's in might not be or the way that it uses it might not be to your liking, and that's totally valid. Because then
Right.
also he fucking made 2 plays that add to the story of it.
Yeah,
that were
right.
only in Japanese and in Japan.
Wow.
And there's like bits of story in the fucking collector's edition of Drakengard 2, which came out in 2009 or whatever.
Yeah, wow.
See, I kind of like that.
It's
Yeah,
sick,
yeah.
but
It's
also
very
it's
funny.
it's
Yeah.
very fucking inconvenient.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I played a bunch of stuff. I've played the entirety of a game called Doki Doki Literature Club, which was getting a bit of like internet, like, oh, you got to play this, man. You got to play this
A
one.
lot of
Are you
people in our
fucking-
Facebook group kind
Yeah.
of prodding us to play it.
Are you
Yeah.
able to say that game non-goofily?
I could-
Doki Doki.
I don't
It
think you
sounded
can
like
say
Fraser
the word.
Crane saying it.
Okie dokie. Doki Doki. I don't know how it's. Yeah.
I think it's Doki Doki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
is it?
So
I downloaded it. I knew you were going to talk about it, and I
Yeah.
wanted to at least see sort of very vaguely what it is.
Yeah.
So I played. Right before I came here, I played about half an hour of it.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So it's like a Japanese anime visual novel style game, like a dating sim visual novel thing.
It is actually Japanese. It's not like a Western thing trying to look like.
I think it's
anime.
a Western
It's-
thing trying to look
Is
like
it?
anime,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
I think it's this one dude
That's a shame.
who did the whole thing, got some people to do the drawings for him, but I think it's this one guy's
Okay,
kind of
right.
Is it an Adult Swim thing?
No, it's just a game. It's just an indie game. And yeah, the idea is that it presents itself as an anime visual novel that changes what it is along the way.
So it very much, for me, like very, very like nothing has really happened yet.
Yeah,
I've
sure.
written one poem.
Oh yeah,
and
nice.
At the very start, it really gives you a lot of warnings of like not suitable for anyone who's triggered by depression or anxiety,
Yeah.
or can't handle things. It really,
That's the first thing basically you see is a warning like this game is not to be played by anyone under the age of 13. It contains extremely disturbing content.
Like
Yeah.
Hellblade.
Yeah, right. But
And-
it's
But then all I've done is watch this very cutesy thing about you joining a book club at school.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know how much of that warning is like needs to be there versus is kind of a technique that's, you know what I mean? Because it's impossible to not look at all this stuff that's going on
and
without
be
that in
filled
your
with a
head and
sense
go,
of dread.
"Fucking hell, what
Yes.
is going to happen here?"
it really uses all of that stuff really well. It's
Right.
I don't know what Nier Automata does towards the end of it to make it so interesting, but if it's playing with the mechanics and even the concepts of playing a game
Yeah.
and interacting with a game,
Yes.
that's what this game does as well.
Okay.
And
How long is this game?
I played it in one sitting, so like a few hours.
Right.
Few hours, I think, at most.
We've just
7
learned
hours.
what Ben's attention span is. Yeah, I was like, for me, a setting is like 15 minutes if I'm lucky.
Yeah, it was like a few like I purposefully like was like that's what I'm doing today.
Right.
It again, you play through it multiple times, you could say,
Right.
and it really messes with gaming as a format.
Right.
I've got some issues with it, but I'd be much more keen to discuss them once we've all played it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I reckon I'll have done it by next week.
Yeah,
And hey,
I'd recommend it.
for the
What is it
listeners, if
on?
you've been
Steam.
thinking of
Right.
yeah, but you can also just you can get it on Mac just as a
Oh yeah, right,
straight as a direct download or whatever you call it.
right. It's free as well.
Oh,
Well-
really?
Yeah.
Did you pay?
Nah. I
Okay,
don't.
then $10.
Oh really?
Yep.
I did
Oh,
it
so
through.
it's like Radiohead optional pay.
I just did it through Steam, and it was like you could just download it.
Oh, right,
So,
yeah. On the website, it's like you can pay what you want.
Oh, that's
it's,
nice.
It's free, but you can
It's
throw
probably-
them
it's-
some bones
yeah,
if you like. You're right, that is nice of me.
Yeah, it's worth giving a few bones to. Yeah.
Not that you did, but
I didn't know I could.
hey, sight unseen, I just gave him a sweet tenner.
Yeah, fuck. Let's talk about it in the future.
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
It's a good one to talk about.
I think that's probably similar to What Remains of Edith Finch. I played that
Right.
over the break. That's
Right.
only like a couple of hours long as well.
Is that... my impression is it's like a walking sim Diaresta kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of. And then it's got little sort of mini gamey bits, but it's predominantly just a very linear go through this in this order story-driven thing. As a broad thing of what I thought about it, I really like it as a product.
Yeah.
And I do not like it as a work of fiction.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very well-made game, and it does what it's doing very well. And I don't know if I agree with what it has to say as a piece of work.
Right. So if it was a movie, you'd be like, "Oh, that was well shot, but the story sucked."
It's not that it sucks; it's that I don't know if I agree with what it thinks
Okay.
or what I interpret it as having to say. Like,
yeah, okay.
it's got this. I don't want to talk too specifically about it because it's only very short, and I think it is worth playing.
Right.
Okay. But do you think that's a big problem to, even if you don't agree with the stance that something is taking, you can still appreciate that stance? Or do you think
that's what
you
I'm
don't
saying,
agree with it in the sense that it's like you think it's a bad, irresponsible take?
Not irresponsible, but just a point of view I don't agree with.
Okay.
That it seems to have. Because,
I have a suspicion that I know what the topic is, which I could see as being fairly divisive.
it's not that it's it's very difficult to talk around it without being specific about the...
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to, like, play through each of these shorter games and do, like, maybe a bonus thing sometime.
Yeah.
Where we're talking specifically about
we got some
plot.
weeks to fill. So
Yeah.
I think,
maybe just on the regular apps.
Go back and delete you saying bonus out of that sentence, brother, because that's coming up in the next 3 weeks.
I will turn up the word bonus.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth playing, and it is interesting, and I like that type of game, and I like what it does with that type of game, and there's some really nice moments in it, and I would like to talk about the story as a whole at some point more in depth.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, cool.
You anything else to chuck in, Tom? Or did you just
I
kinda...
played a little bit of Tiny Metal.
Oh, yeah.
Which came out...
Pull me closer. And then the name of that game?
Which was what?
Tiny Metal.
So one of the words. Yes. Not even the word that rhymes with dancer.
Might have been the reason I stopped singing poetry.
Now put that in a gallery. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Butter chameleon. Close
better.
enough. I'm Weird Al, but close enough. Weird Al.
It's
Weird Adam.
He gives up halfway through. Weird Al.
Weird Adam.
it's it came out I think it was maybe right before Christmas.
I've never heard of this thing before. What is
Okay,
this?
so
And I have for a bad reason.
there's kind of two sides to essentially what it is.
Yeah.
It was the last word my dad said before he died.
Yeah. I was spying on someone and
We'll just talk about it as a game by itself
Yeah.
first, and then get into the backstory of it, because the backstory is pretty interesting. It's basically a clone of Advance Wars, like that series of games that was on the Game Boy Advance and then the DS. I think they did one
Yeah.
or two.
I love those. They were
Yeah,
great.
they're great. So this is like basically, very much a copy. I don't really remember. It's been years and years since I've played those games, so I don't really remember the specifics. But the reviews that I've read of Tiny Metal stress that it's not just a reimagining or an homage. It basically is this.
Right.
It's the same game.
Very heavy bass lines. I remember in the Advance Wars games.
okay.
In the music,
Yeah.
Right.
loved a bit of bass.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like Flea.
Yeah, slapping it.
He's a
Hold
famous.
me closer.
Oh, God. It is.
That's a song known for its bass lines.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers did do a version of that song. It's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, fucking John Frusciante sung it.
He's a great
He
guitarist.
has a way better voice than Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah.
Really?
Not Elton John.
Yeah.
So then, if the Red Hot Chili Peppers did a version of it where Frusciante is singing, what's Kiedis doing?
He's
Shooting up in the
just
corner.
jumping around in his shirtless with his shorts on.
Jumping.
Hold me closer, tell it, baby, little dancer.
He doesn't do any of that. That would be better. But he's just doing that big dance he did where his legs are really far apart and he's kind of swinging back and forth.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, that's great. Oh, let's get into the studio right now and do what we think without watching the actual version of it. What we think the Red Hot Chili Peppers Tiny Dancer is.
I love that. I love it a lot. Fuck yeah. So you played the game.
I played the game and I do not really like it. I was really excited. I loved the Advance Wars games back in the day, but it's just, you know what it is? It's a bit of a case of someone going, I'm going to make a version of this, exactly this, and what I like about it.
Yeah.
And you kind of realize from you playing it, it's like, oh, what that person liked about these games is kind of different to what I liked about it.
Right.
It's like technically
It's
doing
the new
all the
Star
same.
Wars movies. It's the new Star Wars movies.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Bit of a hot take
in
there.
that J.J. Abrams nailed it.
J.J.
and
Abrams
Ryan
sucked
Johnson
and Ryan Johnson's
fucked
good.
It. Totally fucked it.
Oh, here we go. It's this year's NGV.
This year's NGV was this year's NGV.
All the technical stuff of it is fine, but it just is missing that certain little extra bit of like charm that the Advance Wars games had for me. There's just
It's that baseline, baby.
yeah, exactly.
Must
that
be.
funky baseline. The presentation just isn't there for me by like 50%. It's just
Yeah,
it's kind of
right.
hard to, it's one of those things that's kind of hard to properly put into words.
Yeah.
Or it's just like the things of you attacking other, your opponent. It just, when you succeed, it just doesn't have that feel to it.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
all the characterization stuff. And it does this weird thing where there's little cutscenes in between the battles where the characters are speaking in Japanese and it's got the text is in English, the voices are in Japanese, but then when you're in the game, your little battalions that you send out, they speak in English.
Right.
And like, there's like one little class of people that have Aussie accents that are saying all this dumb Aussie stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of a little jarring of like, why is there this dumb Aussie accent? But then it's
like when you move them, they go like, getting out there, boss, or whatever.
yeah,
like.
it's like, it's all that sort of
classic
stuff.
Aussie phrase.
Yeah.
Getting out there, boss.
We say that all the time.
It's not that far off. Like
Wow.
and so it's kind of weird to like at the start of it, it feels like it's really trying to beat you over the head, trying a little too hard to be like, hey, all you weirdos out there, this is a really Japanese game.
So
Yeah.
is this a Western developed?
It is Japanese developed, which is the weird thing, yeah. And it just, I don't know. Like I was very much looking forward to it, but it's just missing the Advance Wars games, like the art design and everything about it. Just had this like really nice kind of quirky sort of feel to it, and this is just a bit more. I don't know. It feels a bit. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on the Switch that is guilty of this, but it feels a little bit iPad-y. You know what I mean? Like it feels a bit like a kind of an iPad sort of
Clash
take on
of
it.
Heroes type of just
Yeah.
like that bland kind of like clan battles, Kingdom of Wars, all that sort of right.
It just doesn't have a nice. It's just for me. It's just not really appealing enough to slog through it.
Yeah.
But then, so the backstory of it is, it's the guy who did a Kickstarter for a game that he put up in 2012
Yeah, something like that.
called Project Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which I think his aim was. So it's Japanese developed RPG feature, like being worked on by a lot of talent that have worked
a dream
on
team of
sort of
JRPG.
like a composer from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think the target was like 100,000, and it made over 1 million.
Yeah.
And it is yet to see the light of day.
And he's gone and made this in the meantime.
Well, so they put up a lot of updates on this other thing, going like, it's really hard. It's kind of falling apart. A lot of people have left.
Yeah, but then also putting up the occasional like gameplay shot, which is clearly concept art. Like
What's the other one called? The Project Phoenix.
Project Phoenix.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a isometric, or like a Final Fantasy VI,
Yeah, so
kind of top-down JRPG, kind of like this kind of watercolor arts. Like it looks great.
What do you think it is about this that made people go so bananas for the Kickstarter? Because
I
I
don't
can't
know.
quite work out why people are so into the idea of this game existing.
Might
I
just
don't-
be the timing because
Yeah.
like that was around the sort of initial boom of Kickstarter where people were like anything's possible.
Sure.
We're getting all our childhood things back. Here's a
Yeah.
new fucking
And I think
whatever showed up.
It's because like someone from Square is like I think it's people going like, a Chrono Trigger / Final Fantasy VI
Yeah.
that looks amazing and is coming out now. Absolutely, like that's kind of what it was positioned
Right.
as.
Like with Mighty Number 9, it was like here's the
Yeah.
Mega Man guy back at it again.
yeah.
And those watercolor shots do look amazing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So it kind of all starts falling apart, and then they're putting updates on the Kickstarter, sort of going, it's all a bit fucked.
We ran out of money. Was a lot of what they were saying.
Then at the end
It
of
doesn't sound like that game's coming out then.
Well-
That's a pretty big
that's it. So then
roadblock.
this game Tiny Metal gets announced at the end of last year. People then find out that it's the
At
same.
the end of 2016, you mean?
Yes, that is
Right,
correct.
okay.
Yeah,
end of
yeah.
2016. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. It gets announced into that, and
Into that one.
it then comes out that it's the same guy, and so people then start going, "Oh, he's just taken the money from this Kickstarter to work on the Tiny Metal game."
And then he's saying like, I'm gonna use the proceeds from Tiny Metal to pour them back into Project Phoenix.
But then people are saying, motherfucker, we already paid you for Project
What-
Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm not buying another game
Yeah.
to buy this game I've already bought.
Totally.
But what he
Yeah.
claims is he claims that Tiny Metal is funded by a bunch of private investors.
Yeah.
Because Tiny Metal had its own Kickstarter and it didn't make its target. So he's maintained no, this is just it's its own thing.
Yeah.
This is funded by investors, and the profits will then go back into Project
Well,
Phoenix.
if that's true, that sounds fair enough.
But then someone who worked on it has done a Facebook post where they've gone, "That's not true. He did use Project Phoenix
Yeah.
money."
Oh.
It's all very messy, and it's
Yeah.
kind of muddied the waters of where it's that's kind of the prevailing story of this whole game. And,
yeah.
and it's just I didn't know any of that when I got it, and it's just I just don't think it's very good.
No.
It's a shame because that sort of thing would be so great on the Switch, and Nintendo have stopped making those games, so
Yeah.
it'd be good if they should exist because they were fun.
Yeah.
One of them
but
on the Switch would be great.
yeah.
Well, that's
It-
what Octopath is gonna be.
I meant Advance Wars.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of those types of things. There's that
Yeah.
Lost Sphere coming out soon too.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
But that Project Phoenix game, it just sounds like it's just never going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Like, he's lost $1 million and people have walked off it, and it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
How do you turn that around?
Yeah. You don't. I don't think you do.
Kickstarter as a whole thing seems to be losing a lot of steam.
It's more like kick farter,
Oh yeah,
I think.
non-startup.
Oh.
More like Dick Starter.
Yeah, that's good.
More like Firestarter. Twisted Firestarter. Bada 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 bada. I'm gonna
Nice.
keep saying
there you
bada.
go. No, it was worth it. We got there in the end.
But like that Star Citizen game I was reading about, that made
Oh,
more
yeah.
money last year than every other game Kickstarter combined.
Right.
Still, and I still have no idea what the plan with that thing is.
I think the plan is to just keep selling digital ships.
To people
never
who
release a
don't
game.
have this game. Yeah.
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 So that's great. We should do some ads because we've got a couple on this episode.
Hell yeah.
And let's start with the first one, Harry's.
I want to start with the second one. Yeah, okay.
Harry's is sponsoring this episode. They've sponsored a few before. They're fucking awesome. We love them. How does Harry's tie into your New Year's resolution, Tommy? Does it tie into being smarter with your personal finances?
Wait, is this a multiple choice test?
Yeah.
You sort of set it up like it was.
Wait, it's a checkbox test. You can do both.
Okay.
You can be smarter with your personal finances because Harry's can save you about $100 a year
Wow.
if you're a frequent shaver, which is really good. You can also take better physical care of yourself. You know why? Because Harry's is really good and it keeps you looking good and feeling good. So that ticks both of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it ticks both boxes.
The two things you care about, money and your looks. Patrick Bateman over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you a psychopath? Then sign up today.
My shaver handle is bone white. It's bone white. Harry's
My
is
shaver
all...
handle is @shaver69.
That's very funny, Knox.
Thank you.
Harry's is all about a great shave at a fair price, which is why over 3 million guys have switched to Harry's.
That's
Harry's,
a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone who plays PUBG.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff and Andy,
Wait, do Harry sponsor PUBG as well?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay.
It's a secret deal. Jeff and Andy were two ordinary guys who were fed up with getting charged an arm and a leg for a razor blade, so they started Harry's. So if you want to know who started Harry's, if you want to feel a personal connection, and more so than the name being Harry's, the name of a man,
Yeah.
Jeff and Andy.
Yep.
They're the two guys.
They wanted to set it up as Jeff and Andy's, but they were misheard when they did, and they were just too uncomfortable to correct the person at the registry office.
Yeah, the registry office. So you can you just get a good razor. It comes down to good blades, and Harry's have the best blades. They're all backed by 100% quality guarantee, so you know it's bloody good. And there's a special offer for Filthy Casuals listeners. Jeff and Andy,
Yep.
they're going to send you a free trial shave set when you sign up at harrys.com/filthycasuals.
Holy shit! Do I have to get him anything?
Just give him a kiss on the lips.
Give me, okay, wow, this is starting to feel like a bit of a poison chalice.
At least I'll be freshly shaved.
It's part of that personal connection. You just, harrys.com/filthycasuals. You get a free trial set. You just got to pay for shipping, which is like $3 or some shit.
Now look, I don't want that free trial set unless it includes a weighted ergonomic razor handle, 5 precision engineered blades with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel, and a travel blade cover.
Oh, that's a shame. Wait a minute. It contains all of those things.
Fuck off.
So if you want to get your free trial set, and from that list you just laid out, I believe you do. Go to harrys.com/filthycasuals right now and get it.
While you're there on the internet, I mean, not at that specific website.
It started really strong here. The non-confusing lead-in.
We've got another sponsor this week, a brand new set of people at ShipStation.com. Do you sell online? eBay, Amazon, something called Magento?
That is a CMS.
It's also the main villain from X-Men.
Incorrect.
Then you need
That is prejudice.
ShipStation. It's a fast and easy way to manage and dispatch your orders all from one place. You can use ShipStation to compare rates from top couriers including Royal Mail, FedEx, DHL, and UPS. The big hitters.
I love them DHLs.
It felt like reading out a bunch of really shit wrestlers. Royal Mail, FedEx. And whether you have one or hundreds of orders, ShipStation makes it easy to batch and print labels so you can get orders out quickly and keep your customers happy. I've done a bunch of selling shit on eBay, and it is a real laborious process.
Yeah.
If you're doing all that shit yourself, buying everything. So having someone who ties all that shit together for you and makes it easy.
I made little comic books that I was posting out to buyers myself, and let me tell you, a fucking nightmare.
Well, ShipStation has a solution for you. It's a popular choice of online sellers. No wonder ShipStation is a popular choice of online sellers across the UK.
Wonder. Is ShipStation a popular choice of online sellers?
Across the UK? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
UK standing for Ultimate Knox.
Great.
Wow.
Now you can try ShipStation free for 30 days. Plus,
No more bits, Tommy. He's got to get to the end.
What about USA? Ultra Sexy Adam.
That's me as well.
All right.
Uganda.
I barely know her.
Guys, Adam, never deny Adam. That's what Uganda stands for.
Nice.
Now, you can try ShipStation free for 30 days. They
And
wouldn't
what is
deny
that
me
an acronym of?
A long thing. I'm not going
Yeah.
to bother. Plus, you can get a special bonus when you use the promotion code CASUALS. To get the special promotion, just visit ShipStation.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in CASUALS. That's ShipStation.com. Then enter the promotion code CASUALS. ShipStation.com. And here's their tagline: "Make ship happen." And I wanted to point out that there was their tagline because I couldn't have come up with that.
Yeah, that's very good. It's cheeky because it sounds like it could be a swear.
It's a little cheeky.
Yeah.
What would you have come up with?
Come on, cunts.
God.
Send us some shit.
I would have gone, I've just shipped myself.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
That's pretty good.
I would have said easy to use online shipping. No pun in it, but it gets the job done.
So two wonderful sponsors. They are, they're helping out the show. So if either of those two things are in your wheelhouse, go in there. Show them you know what? Even if you don't want to shave or send stuff, just go in there anyway.
You know what you do? You get the free trial set of Harry's and then you ship it out to somebody else.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Sell it on
Yeah.
eBay, turn a profit.
Yeah.
That sort of convoluted plan I've just come up with there
Yeah.
is a lot like the convoluted plans you come up with in a little game I played over the break called Hitman.
Yeah, okay.
Fuck, this game is good.
Yeah.
This is the episodic
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
So it's all out now, or like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first season. There's like a Game of the Year edition
Yeah.
Yep.
that has everything all bundled into one.
Where are you playing it? What platform?
On the personal computer.
Oh, okay.
On Steam.
Yeah, right.
I
I guess it would have been pretty cheap on that.
Yeah, I got it during a sale.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's because it's a couple years old now, and I've been sleeping on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought it would be stressful
Right.
because the idea is you're a hitman and
Whoa,
you are
whoa.
Don't let
Slow
me
down, buddy.
confuse anybody here.
Whatever, egghead.
You're going into these really big environments, and you got some people you got to kill.
Yeah.
You've got to assassinate them as quietly as possible and get out.
Yeah.
And
does
the
sound
whole
stressful.
sort of like clockwork mousetrap sort of thing
Yeah.
that it seemed to be, I thought would freak me out a little bit. I get tense.
Right.
But it's got such a sense of humor to it and such a sense of fun about it.
It
And
also, if the moment you fail, you just go boom and you start again.
you can do that, or you can just fucking shoot a bunch of people,
Or
and it's
yes.
a heap of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that's-
Fucking up is fun in that game, which is so important.
Yep.
And I've really enjoyed it. The main sort of campaign is quite short.
Yeah.
You can burn through all of the levels quite quickly. But that isn't really the point of it. You're meant to go back in and mess around with the
There's
weird
heaps
mechanics
of
they've
like
made.
trophies and achievements
Yeah.
to get of like
Right.
do this without doing that. Like a lot of parameters.
And they're set
to
up as
kinda-
these challenges. There's like 100 of them per
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
And so it's like dress up as this fucked magician that everybody hates.
Yeah.
And go into this place and kill this person with a fire axe.
Yeah,
And it seems
yeah.
impossible to do.
Yeah.
But you figure out these weird ways to do it. You explore these really big levels.
Yeah, you like watch the patterns of people moving around and
Really intricate sort of like all the little conversations people have in there are really
Yeah.
funny.
yeah.
It's a really, really fun game that I wish I hadn't slept on because there's these temporary contracts. I can't remember what they're called, but they're
Yeah.
elusive targets.
Yeah, that's right.
Where they're only up for like a real time week.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And they went through all of them once since the release of this game and have started again. So I'm assuming the cycle will go another
Oh,
time.
Oh, okay,
Right.
cool. Yeah.
And they're like, these things that you get one shot. Are you
Right.
going to take it or just let it slip? His knees are sweaty. And so you replay these levels a bunch of times, but it's really fucking fun to do because there's so much clockwork bullshit going on in there that
Yeah.
you can really fuck with it in a very sound, and it's very gamey, and it's set up to be like,
Right.
this is a video game. It doesn't have to make sense why this is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
This has come up a few times on the show, and I always, every time I hear about it, I think it sounds great and mean to go in.
Yeah.
And I just kind of keep forgetting that
Well,
it's
'cause
out there.
I'd weirdly watched people play Hitman
Oh yeah.
before having played it myself, so I kind of knew about it.
Right.
But it turns out it's really fun to play as well.
Great.
I've been loving it.
It's extremely similar to the first game in the series.
Right.
Which is really, really good.
Yeah, I've never played any of them really.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. It's even that first one kind of had very advanced physics for its time, and the graphics probably don't hold up, but it's really takes the spirit of that first one and just makes it better and
Yeah.
bigger.
And
It's really fun.
I weirdly am really into the story and the characters in there. Like,
yeah,
47 is this blank slate douchebag, but
Yeah.
I kind of like what they do with that.
right.
And it's very light. It's a lot
Yeah.
of just like short cutscenes with like, there's a conspiracy going on, and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Rich people are running the world. Are you fucking kidding me over here?
Yeah.
But it's just goofy enough that
Yeah, right.
it gets you through that sort of bit of tension that it also has.
I think you can also easily just hit skip as soon as a cutscene comes up, and you lose nothing from the game. It really is, I
Yeah.
think, just like, okay, here's the level, here's the goal, and that's really what the game
Definitely,
is in my mind.
it's mainly mechanically fun.
Yeah.
But I really like how they pepper it with these little just bits of dialogue that are just funny.
Right.
Having
right.
that tone got me through the bits that did stress me out a little more.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
You know what I mean? That sort of stealthy, everything has to go to plan way of doing it can really freak me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because nothing ever goes to plan, man.
Oh.
3 soldiers die. That's all part of the plan. I watched this
is
movie over the
happening?
break, and I've been
Basic? Was it
really
basic?
getting into the idea that I might be this character called the Joker.
Oh.
Why
Why are you being so serious?
Hitman's great, and the one other thing that you played, Ben, that I kind of shrugged off at the time.
What?
This was the last thing I spent some time playing. I got really into
Oh.
Cuphead.
Yeah, right.
That
yeah.
game's fucking sick.
Right.
I thought I didn't like it really at first because it was like
Yeah.
a little. I just wasn't in the mood for that loop.
Yeah, I think like the first thing you said was kind of like it was really hard and you couldn't figure out if it was because it was annoying or if it was like rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still goes back and forth between those two things.
Sure.
But the more that you play it, the better you get at it, obviously, and it becomes more fun.
Yeah. We talked about it off air, I think, and the mechanics are so tight that it just like if you're good at it, then you're good at it. If you're bad at it, it's because you're bad at it. It's
Yeah.
not the game's fault.
Yep.
It's just a real tight, good shooter.
There's some parts of some of the bosses and stuff where I'm like, that's fucked.
Yeah.
That's fucked that you're doing that to me.
Yeah.
But it's still, that does make it fun to overcome.
In the way that you can appreciate when a plan comes together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you're very clever, you developers.
Yeah.
You got me.
Or are you clever, or have you just put 100 things here, and it's difficult to dodge
Yeah,
100
right.
things, you fucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, those games where you feel like if you, the developer, were playing this, you wouldn't be able to finish it, and
Yeah.
you created
Right.
it. You're just like hitting fucking send all on the
Exactly.
Yeah.
whatever, the random button on the developer's keyboard that they all have.
Yeah.
Hitting send all.
That's how games get made. Send all. Send everything out into the game. Not our problem.
Nah, just do it. I played a couple more things. I played the second and third episodes of Batman Telltale Season 2.
Now, who is this character?
How did his parents die?
This guy Batman. I don't like the sound of him so far.
Oh, okay. You feel like maybe you have an urge to fight him?
Fight him, yes. Kill him? No, never.
Because without him, what are you?
What am I? I'm nothing after that.
You just like to cause chaos.
So he completes.
The sentence?
Yeah.
So this season actually does feature the Joker, but it's before he becomes the Joker.
Oh,
It's
like Gotham.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's in this. It's a guy called John Doe he was in Arkham Asylum with in the first season.
Yeah.
And I don't really like it. I like the first episode of this season, and then the second two. They put you in this position, which I hate. I hate when like TV shows
Doggy.
do it. No, missionary.
Nobody hates Doggy.
Yeah.
True, fair.
Where you're like the lead character and you're like undercover, and so the whole time you're like trying to get in good with the crims, and you're like acting kind of not like the actual character that you usually are.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, this is a Telltale thing, I think. I think it happens in the other games. I know it happens in like Wolf Among Us, where you're making all these hard choices while undercover, and you know they're going to come back to bite you in the ass. Like, you're siding with the criminals because you need to get on their good side, but you're saying something rude to your assistant. You're fucking up the relationship with the daughter of the other character.
I also hate that.
And you just know that that's the position you've been put in, and there's no
So
way
it's-
you can get out of
Right,
it.
Yeah.
it's giving you the choice, but it's still making you... It's meant to be like you have the choice, but it's making you do that when you're like, well, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It always feels like lazy writing
Yeah.
when a character fucks up his life because, well, I had to be undercover.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like in Face Off, when the whichever one's which way ever round
Sure.
goes into Nick Cage's wife's house and he's like a dick to her
Yeah.
because he's the villain, but she doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
a very lazy way of making conflict.
Yeah, but like the example is like you're trying to get in with Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
but she wants, and so she's like, let's go to Wayne Manor and let's
Do the voice.
No, Puddin.
He considered it.
Yeah. No, they go to Wayne Tower to do something.
Right.
And she's like, well, I'm going to hit this guard. And you got to be like, either don't hit the guard, but that fucks up your undercover mission. Or you're like, yeah, hit the guard. But you know that guard's going to like be your enemy later on because you let him hit. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that awful position of like, you can see the strings being pulled.
Yeah.
So that's been really annoying. And I just don't think the story's as good in this season, which is a real shame.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, but there's two more. Maybe it could be good in the end. I don't know. But I've also started playing Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of other people start to rave about this game in like a real like the story, the way it's told, the kind of emotions that it somehow derives out of this. You
Big dumb
piloting
robot,
a mech around is really, really effective, and so far it's just fun to play.
Yeah.
And I'm digging it. So I'm kind of really, really excited to play through this and see where it could possibly go that's going to
Totally.
be that cool.
Adam Trendsetter Knox.
That game
Yeah.
is great, and it just controls really well. It feels
Yeah.
really good to move around. Like
It really
the
does.
multiplayer of that is still one of the best of the last few years in terms of shooters. It's that team now has been, I think, moved on to some Star Wars game, possibly.
Right.
So the idea of a Titanfall 3 is maybe a little up in the air. So who knows?
Right. But that team making a good Star Wars game, hey, that's great.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll make a Titanfall 3. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
predict the future.
What about next week?
Next
Right.
week, Craig David is going to have a hell of a week until Sunday. Then he's going to take it easy.
Okay. I like it.
I want to give a quick mention to a book that I read, a graphic novel that I read
Ooh.
a couple of months ago now. It's by a guy called Box Brown, and it's the history of Tetris and how Tetris kind of got made and then was the subject of a pretty complex legal battle because basically three different people had been promised the rights at once, and this was at a time before, internet and fast communication.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty...
Everyone talked like this.
What is this?
Yeah,
There's no fast communication. It's 1934.
you do a voice.
Kill me now. Just kill me.
Oh, little girl voice. I like it.
So it's pretty, on paper, it is quite a dull story.
It's literally
all
on paper.
Litigation and, contracts and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's a testament to this guy, Box Brown, and his skill at crafting a story that he actually makes it interesting. He does a really good thing of, breaking down the characters and really getting across the stakes.
What's
and
his name?
Box Brown.
You always get one of them when you want a straight line brown. Fun Tetris joke. Continue.
Oh, I get it.
I got it.
I've got another one for later on too.
Okay.
About what?
Yeah.
Are you just hoping I say the name?
When you finish reading the book, did you put it at the shelf and then the rest of your books disappeared?
You should have saved that for later, man.
Nah, I just got it out there now so I can go home and never do this again.
But yeah, I would recommend checking that out. You can find it in a lot of comic. It's in a lot of comic book shops, or it's on Book Depository. A great read and a very interesting story. And
so, what's the sort of graphic novel visual element to it?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Hearing about it, you go, this sounds like it's going to be boring as all shit. But it's just he kind of, I guess, just the way he's condensed these kind of boardroom fights over.
So is it like
rights.
a fictionalized version of this story, kind of like a scenes happening?
He's
or?
clearly condensed it. Yeah, it's scenes happening, and
Right.
he's clearly the way he's made the characters talk and the language he's used. He's just made it very snappy. So there are a couple of bits where you sort of find yourself having to go back and go, "Fuck, I've lost track of who all these players are."
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's well illustrated. He's got a really simple style. It's just it's three colors, so it's very distinct looking. And yeah, what happened to those two Russian guys who kind of were the start of it? The whole thing that they go through and the ending is pretty full on. But yeah, it's a great read. I'd really recommend it to anyone who's got a passing interest in comics, and just an interesting look at a whole kind of dispute that just sort of would not happen now because of the way that the way that things are handled and the internet speeding things up. It really is of a different people literally going, I need to get to the bottom of this. Oh well, there's nothing to do but just fly to Russia, I guess. That's the only way business can get done is people constantly flying across the world to talk to each other to work out this little puzzle game. But great read.
Awesome.
Sick.
Yeah. I think that brings us pretty much to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Little recap of what we've been doing over our break.
Why did you put it that way?
This is a fun way to talk.
So we're going to catch up. I'm going to finish Doki Doki Literature. I will try and play Edith Finch.
What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say, what's Edith Finch? We did a call out in the Patreon group today for this, but people are more than welcome to send us their own. We think next week we'll read through some reviews of what you, the listeners, played over the summer.
Yep.
Or winter.
Yes, winter, if it's that part of the world, over the holiday.
Or spring.
If they're time travelers.
Or autumn.
Yes.
Over the holiday
fifth
break.
season that will come after the nukes are dropped.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think it'll be called?
Nuclear.
Noxmania.
No. It'll be something horrible. It'll be like, Reckoning or something
Yeah,
like
or
that.
political correctness.
So yes, feel free to send us through. We did say on the Facebook that we are, specifically looking for anyone who, stuff that we haven't already mentioned a million times on the show.
Yeah.
But definitely any hot takes that you want to send us. Email address filthycasualspod at gmail.com.
Yep.
Or just through Facebook or whatever, and we'll get through some of those next week. Already some that have popped up that are some people have done some real deep diving. Some ones that are pretty interesting to talk about.
Yep.
And you can, of course, just send those through if you want and make a mention if you don't want us to read them out. If you just want to know that your three little mates have seen it.
Yeah.
So all our social media stuff, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook. We have a Patreon, which you can subscribe to, and it is greatly appreciated if you would like to chip in, and we send out bonus content pretty regularly.
Yeah.
All of that stuff can be found at filthycasuals.com.au.
If you're curious about what we're going to talk about next on our Patreon bonus, it's going to be Abe's Odyssey. So if you're a big Abe's Odyssey fan, you want to jump on board now, now is the time.
Yes, definitely do that.
Big Abe. I like to just hearing the words "big" and "Abe" next to each other.
Coming
down to Big Abe's truck warehouse.
So yeah, all that stuff. Also, yeah, our comedy festival shows happening in Melbourne for the month of a little bit of March and most of April.
March 29th they start.
Right.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. So come check that out. And thanks for listening. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals,
Butter, I barely know her. I don't know why it's talked about butter so much.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.